Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm JJ Flazanes, your empowerment strategist and producer. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 ways to allow in more. It is a solo show. There have been many clients and people in the Empower You membership and the Mastermind and the Roadmap to Emotional Healing course. This is a theme that has been coming up over and over again. And I figure that if it's a theme for them, it's probably a theme for you. So let's talk about how to allow in more. Now, when I went to title this episode, I noticed and remembered that last year I did a show called Why We Don't Allow. It's a great episode with some of the empowerment strategists from last year. They were here at my house and we talked about how we don't allow and why. So I definitely recommend going back and listening to that. But I didn't want to repeat that show. And I do know that we didn't really give a lot of how-tos necessarily because it was sort of an off-the-cuff recording, really just capturing our own personal experience during that retreat weekend and the lessons we were learning in real time. But I've given some more thought to because of the clients that I've had and the coaching sessions that I've been doing and the classes that I've been teaching on how to boil this down a little bit more succinctly so that you can write it down, you can make a list, and you can just check yourself and see how you're doing and maybe focus on one at a time or see where you're already doing something and maybe focus on the one that calls to you the most or the thing you need the most or the biggest resistance or block that you have. So when I was considering today's title, I thought about using the word receiving. But then when I was thinking about the difference between receiving and allowing, so let's go over basic law of attraction. So law of attraction, quantum physics, is physics, and it's happening all day long, every day, whether you believe it or not. You emanate a frequency, and that frequency, we understand that frequency to be emotion. And that's really how you can tell what kind of, or the quality of, or the vibration of your frequency is. It's like music. You know the difference between angry music, sad music, and happy music, right? Well, those are frequencies. So it's the same thing. You're emanating a frequency of your emotions, whatever they are, whether you're conscious of them, that 12% of your conscious brain, or it's subconscious, 88% of the habitual things you've been doing your whole life and maybe don't even realize. And law of attraction is basically just matching whatever you're putting out. And what you put out changes. It changes based on who you're talking to, what you're focused on, what you're thinking about, who you're with, what you're doing. Your frequency changes all the time, just like your emotions have the ability to change all the time. So let's just say you're in a state of allowing, or you're trying to be in alignment, and whatever that means for you. It means you feel joy and love and peace and solid grounding in your body. Okay, you feel connected, basically. You're in the moment. That's a huge thing to remember. You're in the moment. You're in this red hot moment. You're not thinking about the future. You're not worried about the past. You're not worried about the future. You're not upset about the past. You're in this red hot right now moment. When you're in this red hot right now moment, you are being given things in law of attraction. So you are receiving. So there's a difference between receiving. You're receiving all day long. And some of the things you're receiving you don't like. The difference is, are you allowing it in, especially when you're in that good feeling place? Because I think that is the difference in law of attraction. For a lot of people, they get messed up thinking, well, I have to just think positive thoughts. No, you have to feel good. And positive thoughts can help you get there. But you're not just supposed to lie to yourself and think positive thoughts, but yet underneath the surface, you're pissed or you're mad or you're worried. So your emotional energy, which becomes your frequency and vibration, that's what translates into what comes to you and the situations that you're in. And it doesn't mean you're wrong or bad. This is not a judgment. What it is a reflection. So keep in mind, we're receiving all day long. The choice becomes, are you allowing it in? If someone is giving you a compliment, are you allowing it? Are you accepting it? You might get compliments all the time and maybe not even hear it because you're not in the frequency of allowing it. Hope that makes sense. So there is a difference between allowing and receiving. And while I wanted to say 5 ways to receive more, you can receive, but you may not allow. And there's a difference. And I hope you feel the difference. Allowing means a certain surrender and a certain acknowledgement of that you are worthy of more. You can get somebody, you can do something so well, and you can attract people who affirm you, who want to pay you more, and you can basically deflect and say, no, no, that wasn't that good. I didn't really do that well. No, I don't need that much. That's okay. Oh God, that's too much. So I want you to notice the different subtleties of if you are being given to and you are given the option to receive more, and if you deflect and don't allow it in. So I just wanted to set the stage for the difference between those two words, because while I wanted to use a new word in the title just to shake it up and be a little different, I thought, no, 5 ways to allow in more is deeper work than receiving, because you can receive. It's like when people win the lottery, they have won the lottery. Do they allow it in? No, most of them spend it pretty quickly and then go into debt because they don't know how to allow in the abundance, because they didn't prepare themselves. They didn't earn it vibrationally. So they don't know how to hold all of this abundance when they probably practiced something less, or they haven't wrapped their head around the deservability, or that they are worthy and that this is a celebratory thing. So I just wanted to make that clear going into these 5 ways to allow in more. All right. So the first thing I want to have you notice, so number 1, the first thing to do to allow in more is to notice and pay attention to and possibly change your energy. Now that seems pretty broad, right? But what I'm talking about is the energy underneath doing things, the energy underneath attaining things. If you are trying to earn more money or get someone to go out on a date with you, or your health, all right, and you're taking actions to, whether it be diet related, food related, dating app related, going on dates, if the energy underneath is scarcity, if it's desperation, if it's, boy, I want to get this thing out of the way and get it over with because I want to be able to move away from it or move on, that would be energy that blocks allowing in more. You are setting the tone for having to perform for love or perform for something. It's like putting the carrot out in front of you, but the carrot is never attainable. If you say, well, when I lose weight, I'll feel better. And of course, if you've been following me for a while, you understand that law of attraction, that's not going to work. Actually, in order for you to lose the weight, you have to feel better now. You have to deeply accept and surrender to your now. Allow in the now. Again, if you just pause, take a nice deep breath in this red hot minute. Now, if you're driving, of course, don't close your eyes, or exercising. But if you just notice this red hot now, everything is probably fine. There's nothing right this second that is wrong or bad. The story that you're telling, the condition that you're in, the situation that you're in may not be awesome, but moment to moment, your energy can shift greatly when you surrender and allow in the now. So when you're thinking about a goal that you have, and we all have them, whether you're working hard towards them or not, just notice the energy. Is the energy about, when I get there, then I can relax? Okay, that's absolutely not going to allow in anything. That scarcity will block and resist change, and it is that carrot, because there's never a there. There is no different than here. And I did a show on that last year, 2 years ago, with one of my mastermind members, recognizing and realizing that there's a balance of wanting more and allowing more, and also enjoying the present. And it's really the trick of all of this, of life, of saying, what's next? What do I want? Where am I going? And at the same time, really milking the good stuff of what is, really enjoying, savoring the deliciousness of your now. That is so important. So again, the first way to allow in more, you can either say change your energy or pay attention to your energy and notice, what is it? Is it coming from scarcity? That's one choice. And I'm going to guess a lot of you are. I have to pay the bills. I have to get well. I have to lose the weight. I have to find a guy. I have to find a girl. I have to do this. All right. That energy is what's fueling, it's what's powering your intentions and your attraction. And at that level, you don't even want what's on the other side of that, because you have set yourself up to be a victim of a hamster wheel for a long time. If it's always the carrot in front of you, you're always running. That's not allowing. Allowing is sitting still and allowing the leverage of the universe to bring to you that which you're emanating and that which you're in alignment with, but you're allowing it in. It's coming to you. It's called leverage. That's what we're seeking here, is the leverage. So number one, change your energy or pay attention to your energy. And if it's coming from scarcity, the other choice is to act from pleasure, freedom, or excitement. So I'll tell you a brief story. So about a week ago, I traveled down to Long Beach to get this sort of facial procedure, if you will, about some skin irregularities that I had. And so I had a really long drive. And on the drive there, I decided to call and deal with sort of a looming, lingering financial deal that I have with my ex, and wanting to take care of that, wanting to figure out how to make that happen. And of course, the news wasn't good. The news wasn't good in terms of what I might have to pay in order to make this go away and to finally close this. And I was feeling super defeated, and I just stopped because the momentum that had been created with me was frustration and wanting this to be done, wanting this to be over, wanting to get it off the plate, wanting this disconnection to be final. And I noticed that if I was to make a phone call from that action, from that energy of defeat and frustration and general ickiness, that I wasn't going to be helping myself. And I wasn't in a state of allowing at all. I was in a state of fighting. I was in a state of negotiating. I was in a state of desperation, kind of. So I said to myself in my head, not out loud, because I was driving in my car by myself, I said to myself, all right, so if I'm supposed to pay this ginormous sum of money to close this, which is my fault, then I will get a sign from the universe. And then I started thinking about, what could I sell or what could I do to get the money, to find the money? And again, just those words, what could I do to get the money, is completely not allowing the universe to help me out. So I stopped because I was like, no, that's not the energy from which to create from. That's not the energy of excitement, of pleasure, of freedom, of creativity. So I just said, forget it. I'm not going to pay. Never mind. Just put this down. I'm going to put this down. I'm going to do a state change, walk away. I'm going to go to dinner with my friend, and then I'm going to drive home. I didn't do anything about it. Then the next morning, I got an email. Someone requesting something that I offer that would have basically taken care of that bill. Now, I saw that as an amazing message from the universe that when I let go and surrendered, the universe provided. Now, that thing won't necessarily work out, but then another thing came, and that next thing could be the thing. But the point is that I asked for a sign, and I surrendered my energy. And I was like, all right, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to trust something is going to come into my awareness, and it did. So when you can find yourself trying from desperation, and here's how you'll know, and a lot of you have heard my fibroid story, but you'll hear more about it, and you'll actually hear the actual interview that Allison Melody and I did right after my procedure years ago. I will bring that front and center because there's just so many damn lessons in it. But when I would go to the doctor's office and get their diagnosis and get ready to sign up for surgery, I'd hysterically cry every time. It took me to the third time as I was crying, like super loud, annoying crying, ugly crying, for me to go, oh, light bulb, JJ, you don't believe this. You do not believe this is the right way to go, because if you did, you'd feel relief. And that's another point to make. Some of you, whether you do holistic medicine or allopathic Western medicine, whatever it is you choose, when you feel relief, that means you're in alignment. That's why no one can really tell you what's right for you. You have to feel what's right for you. Some of the things that I would never do may at some point be right for me if I am in the alignment that that's what I need. I didn't want conventional help, but I did get into the place after 2 years that my body said, all right, it's time to reach out for some help. But it was on my terms. It was on my timeline, in my way, and I had manifested the perfect thing to do, which 2 years prior was not an option. So again, it just goes back to the understanding of the scarcity timeline. Take a breath. Take a breath and sit still and do nothing. And you have to do a state change. Remember that the frequency of the solution is higher and in a different place than the frequency of the problem. So if you're beating the drum of the problem, the energy of the problem, the conversation about the problem, the story about the problem, the feelings about the problem, you're not going to find the answer there. You have to disconnect. You have to pivot. You have to disconnect and allow your cork to float, your energy to rise, your perspective to change, your momentum to change in order for you to get the answer that's right for you. So pay attention to your energy and the momentum that you're creating. Okay, number 2, another way to allow in more. We've talked a lot in the show, and I forget sometimes because now we're, well into the 600th episode of Fit to Love, and I've done so many shows that I'm starting to lose track. I have a really good memory. I normally can tell you where I've talked about this before, but we're past that now. It's been too many years. We talked about upper limits with Gay Hendricks and the Big Leap in the what was Inner Circle membership, which is now Empower You. I did 4 episodes with Doug, literally walking through the book. I think we talked a little bit about it on the Genius Zone with Gay Hendricks, and we do it at my events. So know and work on your upper limits. Now, you can buy the book and do it on your own, but you need to know and work on your upper limits. An upper limit basically is your temperature gauge of what you think you deserve. So if you're thinking you're wanting more than you have, and you keep getting opportunities to get more, but then you upper limit, well, first you need to know what the upper limit is and how you upper limit. Do you worry? Do you get sick and get hurt? Do you deflect? What's the pattern when you are uncomfortable allowing in more? Because if you don't understand or know your upper limits, then you don't know when it's coming. When you can see it coming and it's happening, and you are happier and you allow in more happiness, and then you say, okay, I want this thing, and then that thing starts to come, and then you upper limit by, again, getting sick, getting hurt, getting in an accident. You can start to see the patterns. And then, what to do about it is to breathe through it. I mean, you can read in the book, he talks about it, and definitely if you want any further work on it, I'm available. The event is available. My coaches are available. But you need to know your upper limits, and you have to work on them, because you're never going to allow in more if your temperature gauge is stuck at 50, let's use degrees. If I'm at 60 degrees, and there's no right or wrong about this, but let's just give it a 1 to 10 or a 10 to 100 degrees. And let's make 100 degrees the top. There's no top, though. You keep expanding. And 10 degrees, really, like at the end, like you don't allow in much, right? If you only allow in 10% of goodness, that's not really awesome, right? You're probably not really happy at 10% of goodness. So let's say you live at 50% of goodness, but you want to be up at 80% or 90%. The only way you're going to change that percentage is to know what your current is and how do I get past that. So that's why you want to know them and you want to work on them. So you can buy The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. You can read the book. You can listen to the audio, and definitely understand that it happens at every stage. Every person upper limits when you are going into a new temperature gauge, a new zone of allowing. And some people don't actually get any higher because they don't know that they're upper limiting. And so they stay cycling in the same temperature. And I hope that makes sense to you guys. I really enjoy this application of this work with law of attraction, because it isn't as simple as just get into alignment and feel good. Okay, cool. Yes. So that way I can receive the thing I want. But then the upper limit of deserving, knowing you deserve it, understanding what it looks like when you do it, and then allowing it in is a whole nother ballgame. It changes this conversation. So it's not about I just feel happy or I don't. It deepens your deservability. It deepens your confidence and your self-worth to yourself. And that's the work you have to do to allow in more. If you don't believe you're worth it, you're not going to receive it or allow it. So know and work on your upper limits. All right, number 3, focus forward. This happened recently with a client, but I've seen it in others in the past. There are times where we want to know, because we are completely understanding of that our energy when we were younger with our caretakers created our core wounds, and it shaped who we are. And especially if a lot of trauma happened to you, and you want to look back at the trauma and give the trauma the power and say, it was because of this trauma that my life is shitty and it is the way it is, and these bad things have happened and I'm not happy and I'm not well. So I want to go back And I want to work on these traumas because I believe they're blocking me from moving forward. All right, well, that makes sense. And we can't just go back because, again, every new day is a new day. So where are you going? And we don't even need to go back more than what we did in the Roadmap to Emotional Healing course. Go figure out what your core wounds are and then move forward. And then when you upper limit, now we can go back, clean it up, so you can proceed forward on your path moving forward. So I want you to focus forward. Where are you going? What do you want? You can't just look backwards. We can't just talk about, that's probably one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of therapy, is because it's always about what, even when Doug went through 3 sessions of therapy last year, and it was because I just said, I want you to have someone to talk to other than me. I don't want to be the therapist. And it doesn't even have any problems. But it was all the backstory. And I asked him, did you fill out any paperwork? Did you make any goals? Is there any plans? Are there any tools? And the answer, of course, was no, and no. I'm like, well, this is why therapy fails people, because you don't know where you're going. All you know is you're talking about the past, or you're talking about what happened yesterday, or how somebody pissed you off today. Okay, who cares? Where are you going? Focus forward. Have a plan. Have dreams. Think bigger. Dream big. What are you going to do with the rest of your life if you have everything that you want? And not that I have everything that I want, but I'm sitting pretty right now working on the same thing, going, where am I going? What do I want to have happen? I've literally gotten almost everything I've wanted. So I'm really at like a huge level of peace, freedom, love, and joy all the time. But I know that I'm not done. There's more, definitely want more stuff here at my house to work on. So you have to focus forward. We're going to go back when you need to pull, because the past will absolutely stop you in the future or stop you from moving forward. But we don't need to look at it until you're on your path. So please focus forward. Where am I going? What's new? What do I want to build? What do I want to create? What do I want to feel? All right, number 4, which is sort of in alignment with number 3, take bold action. Now, there is a small percentage of you out there, and I say small because now I can, after being in this community for as long as I have and working with as many people as I have and meeting a lot of people as I have, when I first started my show, I was around a lot of business owners whose energy, back to number 1, came from scarcity. So they were all action takers, but their action was to get more money, all the things. And that's fine, but it was always like taking action, but the action was not in alignment. They weren't coming from inspired action. They weren't coming from pure selfish, and I say that in a positive way, like, what do I want to be doing? Not what do I need to do to get others to pay me or need to say or be to get others to like me. If you haven't heard my show from 2 weeks ago, Your Inner Prostitute, that would go in alignment with what I'm saying right now. A lot of small business owners we're all prostitutes. And some of you are prostitutes for love or prostitutes for attention. And again, it's not a judgment. It's a fact if you look at your behavior, because if you say, even those people pleasers that are out there, you guys that think, oh, I'm a people pleaser. Right. You're a manipulator because you're only doing what you're doing, so you'll get something in return for that. It's not I'm going to be nice to you and then you're going to be mean to me and I'm okay with that. Like, you're nice to people and you go the extra mile because you want them to think of you in a certain way, or maybe you think they're going to do the same for you. So back to the action, because again, I say so the business owners would always they'd be out of alignment. And it wouldn't feel good to me. And there were times where I would see people in a mastermind who had the time and space to take their time and let things evolve and really do some research and feel into. And I was in support of the evolving and unfolding of their business versus other people that were on top of them to take action. So if you're someone that takes action based out of that scarcity that we talked about in the beginning, and you have no problem taking action, your action isn't coming from pleasure or freedom, then you're gonna take a beat, and you're not gonna take big, bold action yet. You're actually gonna take bold action by doing nothing. But that's only for a small percentage of you. The rest of you that don't do anything, that sit and listen and think somehow osmosis is going to change all the neurological programming in your head, all the subconscious programming by listening. Yeah, not going to happen. You need to do something and create some positive momentum by investing in yourself and taking a risk. So you can also say do something scary. All right. So take bold action is number 4. How do you allow in more? Take bold action. Show the universe, show yourself that you're willing to allow in more, that you're willing to be seen and heard, that you're willing to believe in yourself, that you're willing to invest in yourself, you're willing to give to yourself, and you're going to start with you. Okay. The 5th and final way to allow in more, and I'm sure there's more, but I wanted to make it a little shorter because I probably could do this all day and find 10 more things. But the 5th way is I'm going to say do the opposite, but I'm going to put do the opposite, and you're going to think, what's that about? So I'm going to go back to the know your upper limits, and this would be know your core wounds. So on the Roadmap to Emotional Healing course, which the live has now been completed, so now it is available for anyone that missed the live but would like to take the course on their own time. You can go to jjflizanes.com/roadmap. The Roadmap course was set up to give your power back, identify what your needs and feelings are, as well as to uncover your core wounds that drive your whole life. And we got to really categorize it in a very succinct way to here are your core wounds, here is your emotional go-to response to these core wounds, and here is your go-to coping pattern, all right? Your go-to coping pattern. So once you understand those 3 things, now we know what your patterns and habits are that upper limit you. So if you interpret something as to mean you are not worthy or you're rejected, and then your normal thing is to cry, and then after you cry, you withdraw. All right, so that's an example. Well, do the opposite of that. So if you feel rejected, and instead of crying, maybe you get mad, not to the person, but by yourself, and maybe you allow anger out, and then instead of withdrawing, you ask questions. You become curious. You ask the person who you think was rejecting you what they meant by that, or you ask them to clarify for you. You don't withdraw, you do the opposite. And when you start to do the opposite of what you normally do, you change those neurological patterns. Your interpretation changes, therefore your emotions change, your frequency changes, and you allow in more. So you really want to know what your core wounds are. And you really want to understand these patterns because you'll see them very quickly and then you'll know what to do about them. If you don't understand the patterns, if you don't see them, then each situation ends up being its own unique, story. Again, one of the problems of therapy is if you tell the same story over and over again, you haven't identified that this is the pattern that you have. While you want to understand it psychologically, you have to do something different. You can't heal core wounds by repeating the same pattern. You can't change your neurological programming without doing something different. Again, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So I'll run through these one more time. So the first one is change your energy or pay attention to your energy and change that scarcity to that you're excited or you feel pleasure or freedom in doing the thing that you're doing, that you're not being driven by scarcity, because that won't allow in more. Or it will at a price. The price will be you prostituting yourself for money or prostituting yourself for joy or attention, or you will lose your freedom. There'll be something you lose and there'll be something that you have to do in order to keep it up. That is not allowing, that is efforting. Number 2, know and work on your upper limits. Get the big leap. Number 3, focus forward. Have a plan, have a goal, have a dream, and spend time on it. Understand what lights you up and where you want to go. Number 4, take bold action. You will not change anything about your momentum or life if you don't break the cycle. And number 5, know your core wounds and do the opposite. Do your opposite response to your emotional pattern and to your coping pattern. And I've given you a couple different opportunities. I've mentioned that the Roadmap to Emotional Healing course is done and it is available at any time for anyone to participate and do it on their own. That is jjfilzanes.com/roadmap. But even a bigger, bolder action that gets you support and a whole different frequency and literally a neurological and vibrational bath and immersion into a much higher frequency than you've probably ever been around for an extended period of time, come to the event. Today is May 31st. It is the last day for the early bird pricing for the Awaken Your Dream Life. We're going to focus forward. We're going to change those neurological patterns. We're going to come to the surface and rebalance which part of the brain that you use to help you allow in more, to help you to not only recognize what you're receiving, but then to allow it in and to enjoy it and to hold it and to increase your frequency and your temperature gauge so that you can keep getting better and better. And it may sometimes require going back and cleaning up what's happened in the past or the past's interpretation that affects your now. But ultimately, every day you wake up, you're going somewhere. You're making a choice about something. You have a brand new day every day. And you have a brand new year every year and a brand new month every month and a brand new minute every minute. What are you doing with it? Where are you going? Are you focused forward or are you in the past? Or are you focused forward in a worry kind of way versus we're trying to attain something? And it's not even about the getting. It's the where am I going? Where do I want to be? It's taking that magic wand and saying, here's what I want. Here's what would feel amazing. If that interests you, please do not wait. Take the big, bold action. Invest in yourself. Focus forward and come to the Awaken Your Dream Life event. It is in October. Today is the last day for early bird pricing, so you're not going to hear me talk about it every week anymore because I'm just wanting you to take advantage of the price right now because it's going to go up, as it should, because at the end of the day, if you don't think you're worth that, then don't come. Because I really just want the people who understand that they are valuable, they value themselves, they value their growth, and they understand that in order for me to make a declaration to the universe, to myself about what I think I'm worth, that means that I have to also honor that and do something different. So when you invest in you, you get it back. You get it back in confidence. You get it back in reflecting back to you that you think you're worthy. This isn't about me. This is about you thinking you're worthy. So I hope you'll consider. Today is the last day to you can do a payment plan. There's a 5-month payment plan. It can't get easier than that. jjfilzanes.com/dreamlife. I will put all the links in the show notes that I mentioned here today. Hopefully something sparked an aha for you. And I would love for you to learn how to allow in more, because this is like exercise. It needs to be practiced. You have to neurologically create these patterns. And every new level requires another skill set or belief system or a trust that you get better at the more you do it. I hope today you'll allow in more.